Yo guys, Coach Theo here on Common Sense. Today I'm going to teach you guys how to be fearless. Fearless, okay? There's really just one thing you have to do, one very simple thing, but it's not easy, okay guys? That's often the case, that what you have to do is very simple, it's just not easy. I could talk a lot about fear. If you search this channel for fear, you're gonna find many good old videos, and if anything sticks out to you in this video, guys, please comment and let me know if you want me to elaborate on something, because it's a huge topic, all right? But today I want to talk about how to be less fearless, because, well, this last half year or so, when my following has grown a lot, and I both interact with more followers and I have more clients to work with, one feedback I've gotten a lot that I would summarize it as like, how can you be so fearless, Theo? How can you, for instance, when I record videos like this, of course now I'm a little bit to the side in the woods, but there are definitely kids running around doing orientation here, just so you know. But sometimes I will walk around, walk here, and people will see that there are people around. It's like, how do you just do that? Just do your thing, record a video and not care about the people around. Or when I pulled off my shirt at the end of a workout in the gym to pose a little bit for the cameras, how do you just not care about the people around? Or how do you dare to express yourself in the way you do? Like, both referring to just being like all confident, borderline arrogant, huffing and puffing myself up so much, but also just daring to have like controversial opinions. I dare to say, like, yeah, feminism is gay. Yeah, I do support LGBT, as in lifters, gains, bros, tomboys, and so on, right? And I mean, I dare to express these things like as myself. There's a lot of people that are very brave anonymously, but yeah, the beautiful thing, guys, is a lot of people think of something as being like confident or tough or whatever, as just like some intrinsic trait that you just have. It's not the case. It's properties that you cultivate. I was not like this at all, so that's the good news, that you can become exactly, well, not exactly like me, because you're you, but anything. You'll be like, how can he just do that? You can learn to do that too. So I'm going to tell you about it. So the simple thing you have to do in order to become more fearless is, drumroll, face fears. Face things that are difficult and scary, uncomfortable for you. That's the only way, okay? The only way is to expose yourself to whatever it was, so they can see that, hey, it wasn't actually as bad as I thought, I'm actually okay, and now it feels less scary. That's the main thing, but there are other little things you can do. But let's get back to that, and let's get back to those specific things I talked about myself, that some people have expressed, like, how can you just do that? But it all started for me when all those panic attacks that like completely transformed my life and put me on the path that led to uncommon sense, right? Daily panic attacks. And a panic attack is basically the emotional and physical experience of just being as afraid as you possibly can, as if you were facing death and had to like fight for your life. An aspect that's almost more scary when it's a panic attack is that you are kind of aware that, but I'm not actually facing death. Why the hell am I feeling like this, right? And so I put myself on this program that I call today, excellent program of going on sick leave half-time, but still having to get out of my apartment every morning, trying to go to work for half the day, right? And when you feel like that, like anything is intense, anything that isn't just lying in a dark corner by yourself is intense. But the funny thing is that even when all of that's going on, like the thing that was so scary to me is like having to confront, like see people when I'm like this and be like, I'm making such a fucking fool of myself. They're gonna think I'm crazy. They're gonna not understand why this is all happening to me. This is just typical situations. Why are Theo like this? He's fucking strange. I don't want anything to do with him. That's what I thought would happen, right? And so in this process, of course, just going against, like the panic attack, you just want to flee from it. So just going against that and actually trying to do normal things. You're facing fears on some level. I also have to face this fear of judgment from other people. I think all the time they're going to think I'm just crazy, But also a thing like someone like me has had to work with people-pleasing tendencies, right? It's often the dilemma for the people-pleaser that are genuinely like a helpful person that likes to say yes and be there for people and don't need anything in return. But often there's also this feeling when you don't want to, that you're obligated, you're kind of you're mean, you're not a good person if you don't say yes, you're not available to help or whatever with people all the time. So I had to face, during these months that felt like years because of the intensity, I had to face this, like both just the panic attacks, the judgment I feel from other people, also having to say no to people, and for doing this over and over and over, I just saw that, hey, I am actually okay. The things I thought would happen didn't happen, and if some of that happens, well, that's I am okay. I am all right. So coming out on the other side of that, a lot of like fear has already been removed from me. I had stage fright, was one of my biggest issues, that I knew I want to do something like this, either on YouTube or actually in person. I knew I'm supposed to be the center of attention and delivering something to people, but I've been so extremely afraid of that. And just like so many people that are watching this video right now, I try to get rid of the fear without facing it. And so this whole panic attack thing was a blessing, because it made everything, any social situations, felt like a stage. And so I had to face it that way, right? But so I started training, okay? Because I was so grateful. I'm actually not getting panic attacks anymore. Okay, maybe there's something to that you should care about your diet and exercise and that. So I'll give that a go. And, this is what I mean, that I didn't necessarily feel like, oh, I'm so scared of the workout, but I feel this resistance. I'm not good at it. It's tough, it's gonna hurt in my muscles. So, yeah, I would take too long between sets and stuff, but I would get it done. And when I noticed after a couple of weeks that, hey, I'm feeling so much better, that's when I made a connection that I've been unable to forget since then. That just like with the panic attacks, when I just faced what was so difficult and uncomfortable for me, but that I could just clearly see that must be associated with the resulting outcome that I want. In that case, overcoming the panic attacks, right? And then I saw too that, I don't want to train. I feel all this resistance, but when I do that, I feel really good. And later, quite soon too, I even look good too. I get that kind of result, right? And so, since then, I have actively put myself in a position to be either really afraid or really uncomfortable, right? Now, so many things, even just putting out videos on YouTube, a lot of people want to do something like that, but are just afraid. So, people would judge me. What if they disagree with me, or what if they don't like what I do and that? Well, the only way to get over that is to fucking do it. Start posting YouTube videos. So even that is facing a fear of judgment, discomfort like that, especially expressing yourself so freely. Exactly what you think and all that. But I did everything I could think of. I was looking for where do I feel uncomfortable? How can I challenge myself? How can I expand my comfort zone, right? So there's even an old video on this channel when I'm walking around my area with this silly hat, and I talk about this that I'm talking about now. In order to feel more comfortable, more secure in any situation or doing whatever, you have to put yourself in situations where I feel kind of silly, at least when I'm walking around with a hat, or I feel like I'm exposing a shameful part of myself, or whatever it is. Doing that and seeing that it was fine, that's the way, So I would find little micro things like that, even, just being in the sauna and going out just in a towel. Of course, if you live in a house somewhere where people that wouldn't be so strange to do, but in a crowded neighborhood, doing things like that little micro thing, just standing sweating in the cold outside, most people wouldn't do that. And recording videos like this, do you think I always was, I was just comfortable all the time? I just didn't give a shit about people being around me. And that's still a thing, guys. That's something I gotta get to, that you can remove a lot of fears. But a big part of it is it doesn't get easier, you just get better, I can still, many times when I start recording a video, if I'm walking around, where I can feel a little too aware of other people and that, but I just know that's how it has to be. When I've gotten far enough into my video and I'm into what I'm talking about, now I'm not going to care as much more again. But you see, I've increased my baseline. I'll always feel more comfortable doing that, but it never goes away completely, and it's not supposed to. We're going to talk more about that too. But the other things, apart, training and dieting and that is facing a form of discomfort when it's so new to you, especially, But I started finding these new things when I came upon fasting, right? I tried a 5-day fast immediately. I was afraid of losing all my gains and all that. I did all these experiments with fast, but the first dry fast I did, a 3-day dry fast, removing all the stimulants. I use snus, nicotine, I drink coffee, caffeine, none of that. And I thought, just days prior to doing that, I thought that you died if you don't drink any water for 3 days. But I did my research and was like, no, it doesn't seem like that. But man, was I scared when I was sitting 2 days dry fasted, sitting on my fifth sauna session and sweating like crazy, knowing that I haven't been drinking any water for days. Well, doing something, I was so high at the end of that. It's like, man, I did something I thought you died from. Most people would never do this. They would go through their entire life not doing something like this, right? But there's so many things, guys. Even, the whole sun your balls meme, that there's something to, like both that it is an area that doesn't see the sun as much, and it's skin too, like all your skin should probably see the sun at some point. But actually there are something, I don't know the lingo now, but there's some more androgen receptor or something on the chest and balls, so potentially there's even a bit more testosterone like that. But one thing about it is also that we're not this civilized, really. You're supposed to be half civilized, half savage, And so this with nudity, it's kind of funny because in one way our society is very sexually degenerated now, but also there's something like everything has to be covered up. Like, can I ever show a female nipple anywhere? No, that's just way too much. But personally, I'm just like, why should I care so fucking much if someone sees my dick? Really? Is that the only thing I care about is like, okay, I wouldn't want to offend, like, sexually harass someone by exposing myself to them. But so the point is that we often feel shame about being like just naked when why should we? That's what the way you were born. There are situations where you shouldn't be naked, like in an office or something, but like being naked in the forest or something, why should that be? So I remember I wanted to do that thing. I remember it felt scary, just like, what if someone sees me? What if someone comes? And just doing a thing like that, just sitting naked in the forest for a little bit, like, yeah, it elevates you. You peel all these layers. We have all this programming in our nervous system, and some of it is just convenient and good, but especially fear and that, it really like it chokes us, really blocked. Like fear, I always say that it's the emotion that makes us the least of ourselves and just like an animal looking to survive, So the more layers of fear you peel, the better you feel. Now girls are showing up here, so you see I face a little bit of discomfort here, being the weird shirtless guy ranting to the camera, but yeah, there's that, and a thing like live streams. You see that I was so prepared to have live streams for a larger audience when I finally got it, because I faced the fear of doing that before. I was nervous the first few times I did that, but so that was great. When a larger audience came along, it's just like, great, I'm used to doing this, I just do it for more people now. But there are so many things, guys. I talk often about, like especially here in Sweden, people are quite, like in Stockholm especially, I think, people are quite timid, like kind of afraid to talk to strangers and that. And I've always felt like I would like more of that in my life. I've always been extroverted, like good at talking like that, but specifically just striking up conversations here and there. Just like, I feel like my life would be so much more fun for that. But I had that fear, like, what if I come off as intrusive, or what if they don't want to talk, or whatever we're even afraid of in those situations sometimes. So I've gone out of my way for years to just, like, even when I don't feel like it, because when I'm running like high and very inspired and stuff, maybe it comes just easier, but hey, how are you doing? To someone in a store or something. I've gone out of my way that I just want that more in my life. So even when I feel like kind of withdrawn and that, I'll just be like, at least to the person in a store, if I'm buying something, like, how are you doing today? That might sound like such a minor thing, but almost no one does that here, and I want to be that person. And since I've done this, it's so much easier for me to talk to anyone anywhere. It's just so nice, it's so liberating to not always go around having these like vague fucking why should we be so scared about that? Say hi to someone, talk a little bit with someone, but so, and one thing I did on the chat, I just go on and on about things here, guys, and I'm gonna get to the extra tricks you can do apart from actually facing the fears. But one thing is, I'm musical, I have a music background, so I am highly musical, actually. I sang in a world-class level men's choir, and so, yeah, well, I sing, but I really wanted to learn to dance. I can feel that it's in me, that I don't listen that much to music. I want to be involved, like sing or even move to the music. So I have the rhythm, the musicality, and I have the strength and definitely flexibility, but I'm just kind of, that's an interesting side note, but the more you work with the body, you notice all these different little traits, because I'm not stiff, but something about me is just a little like clumsy when I dance, but it's something I really want to do. So, like both for real, but also just for fun, really. Doesn't have to be so fucking perfect. We're always, every one of us, it's like, no, I can't do it if I'm not good at it. I have to be really great at it. It's like dancing. It doesn't have to be an amazing show. It can just be fun, expressing yourself with your body. But so a couple of years ago, I would go up many mornings and have a live stream, when I put on video game music and just dance live to it. I was often even more stiff at the start because I am a bit nervous about it. Like, fuck, I look like silly, and yeah, I'm not moving well. But after a while, I would get more loose. I would just enjoy it, you know. And I've taken up this kind of thing. I'm actually going to start taking dance classes of some kind. But for now, I've done that Sundays are neck and dance day for me. So I just play music that makes me want to move. And I filmed it and I put it up on my Instagram story. And I feel highly like vulnerable doing that. I know I want to, when I post it, I want to explain everything. Like, you know, sometimes I get into the groove. I have some moves, but you see there, and I would need to practice more. Like, I want to explain away, why my moves aren't perfect so much, you know. But that's the entire point. I have fun dancing like that. So it's a practice in just becoming better at dancing, but it's a practice in vulnerability too. Exposing myself when I'm just, my unrefined, not perfect at all dance moves are sometimes kind of ugly, you know. Just putting myself out there for people makes it easier to just be me and express myself the way I want. So I'd say that, so that's one of the main things. Because honestly, guys, there have been periods when I do this more actively, but I've come to a point where I just, like, I can go on about so many uncomfortable things, like learning to eat raw liver. It was disgusting, it was so difficult for me, but I put myself through that over and over, and now chewing on some raw liver pieces, just not that difficult. And when I was kind of proud of myself that I've gotten so jacked and disciplined with, like, with training and diet, you know, not that jacked, but good shape at that point, you know. And I see some people that just like are way ahead of me there and just go do a cold plunge in the middle of like snow and stuff. It felt so far away. Now I am the guy that has for like almost 3 years had a daily cold shower, never misses, goes away. I even went, like last year, I went at the end of a 5-day fast. I went, it was like -10, went down to the ice lake, you know. I've done so many of these things. There's one epic, like I can go on, because honestly, guys, why I go on so much about it's not just to brag about all the things I've done. It's like, you see that if you find some things, oh, how can you be so fearless? It's like, I'm telling you how. I built it this way by doing all these things, right? So, well, the point is just that you come to a point where it's like, man, I'm just so comfortable. Like, most things just aren't all that bad to me. So like that's why I'm looking for things. I notice this dance thing, I definitely feel just more exposed and insecure there. So it's a great thing to do. But the other thing I do is that I will approach girls sometimes, like not even looking for a certain outcome, but it just like, I think all guys can know that, let me tell you, just because you look good and you feel good about yourself, it's always some, if you're gonna very actively cold approach a girl, it's not that you get a good opening or anything. There's always something uncomfortable for that. I think for me at this point, I'm not so afraid of the actual rejection, but just of having like an uncomfortable, that kind of interrupt the girl in whatever she's doing and make her uncomfortable, and it's just like, you know. But you know, I want to be able to cold approach a girl. If I see someone like, man, she is smoking, I want to talk to her. I want to have that skill, so I got to practice that. But also it's a little bit part of just the same thing I said, just striking up conversations with people. But so those would be my two main practices now. Like the dancing and sometimes approaching a girl and just like tell her she's pretty or something. But yeah, guys, the last thing I wanted to say is like, well, some fears, they actually like kind of completely almost go away. Like if you take, I had extreme stage fright, you know, like that was the closest I ever felt to having a panic attack when I was faced with that kind of situation. And I definitely get nervous. Like I am a little bit nervous at the start of my podcast recording some now because it's kind of new to me. I could on a particular day feel a bit nervous before a live stream or something. So it's not 100% gone, but like effectively, it's like a healthy amount of, you're supposed to, when you're just a little bit nervous, you're just a bit sharp. But the point is that some things like you actually like, if not remove completely, it's like effectively almost. But one thing is just that you just get tougher, you know that some things just have to be uncomfortable. That's what it is. So for instance, like it's not like I suddenly think that the ice lake is just nice and comfy, but it's like I know that I'm just wasting energy if I'm obsessing on my way there. It's going to be so cold, and I'm going to have to get dressed and go home, and I'm going to be shivering. Just waste a lot of energy. So I feel some resistance still, but you just learn to like be more efficient with it. So somehow, even when it's quite uncomfortable, it's like, well, you make it the most comfortable possible by just not wasting all this energy. You'll be like, oh man, this video got so long, But the last point, I guess, is actually some of these things that are fears to face, like heavy lifting, training intensely if you're not fit, used to that yet, cold plunges, fasting, meditation even. These things can be scary and uncomfortable in and of themselves, so that they work like this, but they also are positive stresses that actually makes you more stress resilient, so that even when you are really afraid or nervous, you're just a lot more solid. That's what I notice now. I have not gotten a panic attack since back then. In fact, I've not even been close. Like, I've had crippling anxiety at times, but I've still been able to work, have client calls. It's kind of beastly thing, having crippling anxiety and being able to focus on someone else like that. But the point is I've strengthened my nervous system so much that it just feels like if I feel like that intense stress or anxiety, just like there's something in the way of it, like completely blowing up. I remember one time, some years ago, where on Gotland, where I go to vacation with like family and friends, and so my cousin's, one of her kids, he drifted. It was very unlucky. Like, I kind of want to defend her because she like looked away a second that it happened, but he fell down by the water, and there's like lots of rocks there. So it's like her mother instinct, she just flew down to get him. But remember how some people were panicking so much, and I was just so steady. I was also like feeling the seriousness of the situation, but I remember like, okay, what can I do in here? Okay, I'll run and call, hospital, I just remember how on point I was with dealing with all of it. That feeling that even when you're afraid or stressed, in that case, I wasn't necessarily afraid, you're just more solid, So you both face the fears to actually just peel, change the programming in your nervous system so that you don't get fear responses in the same way. But then it's just like, do these things to strengthen yourself so that you're just more able, even when you are scared. I'll say that the last thing, many of these things, guys, like for me, recording videos here or approaching a girl or whatever, it's not supposed to be like, oh, I just feel amazing about it now. That's the whole point. That's why some things feel like cool and like when you feel accomplished, because it wasn't entirely easy to do. Okay, I guess that's the last point. I'll end on that. Comfort is actually not a bad thing, It's just that in modern society, we're so spoiled with it, and it's like we've forgotten how it's supposed to be. Like, because why I say comfort is actually a good thing, it's like there are times that you want to be comfortable. It's not supposed to be uncomfortable all the time. When you're gonna go to sleep, for instance, of course, being the most comfortable is the best. But think of it this way. Living in way harsher times, when you aren't spoiled with like a roof over your head and warmth and food available all the time, like most people are in the West, let's say you actually have to fight often you have to just be cold, you have to just be hungry and all these things. Then of course, if some kind of shortcut presents itself so that you can get some comfort, of course you take that. That's why that tendency is in us to like want to take the comfortable option. But what we don't realize today is that that's like a function that we had when we just cannot be comfortable, and we cannot just choose to be comfortable all the time. Then obviously, when that appears, of course we want to go for it. But now we're so spoiled with it that that's why so many people, how do I become less afraid of talking to girls? Or how do I make the fear of this go away? It's like you don't. You just do the thing anyway. That some things are not supposed to feel all nice and comfortable all the time. That's the point, And that's a challenge for the modern human compared to, the more primitive human. If the challenge was actually surviving and getting a break, getting some easy routes, some shortcuts and comfort sometimes, that was a challenge for the more primitive human being. Now it is that we are already so spoiled with all of this that we have to remember where we come from and embrace that, okay? Oh man, I could go on, but we're 25 minutes in. I did not expect to go so long. I'm really happy I raised some videos before this. But guys, please like and comment. It's always very interesting to hear your thoughts. I do holistic bodybuilding coaching, getting jacked and stacked mentally, physically, spiritually, working on ourselves, body, mind, and soul. Do you know that I once, a guy that was really quite afraid of girls, I gave him as a non-negotiable task to talk to girls. He was kind of a shut down guy. I remember it was the first time I saw him like anxious, like, what? Do I have to do that? But yeah, we work on ourselves holistically, guys. So if you are interested, you can send me a DM on Instagram or email me. It's in the description below. I'll tell you about my different options. Pick up my training book, everything mindset, philosophy, and technique related you need to become a self-reliant, jacked and stacked individual. And please subscribe for more content about fitness, fasting, losing weight, building muscle, self-improvement, stoicism, mental health, philosophy, spirituality, mindset. It is a mindset, guys. Face your fears, and all that will remain will be you. Peace.